We got it now. It's all right.
Fire up,
Little ham and eggs coming at you. Hold on, people. Hope you got your griddles.
Did you hear that? Flutter-Tonguing, en roulant la langue, vibrando, combo de linguana, frullato, frullante, frullato, or even tremolo. But most of us know it as Flutter-Tonguing.
That's right, ladies and gents. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you for joining me today on the evolution of Flutter-Tonguing on the flute. Well, what exactly is Flutter-Tonguing? Well, according to Nancy Toff in her book, The Flute Book, more commonly known as the Flute Bible, Flutter-Tonguing is the newest form of articulation in the flute, and I like to kind of picture it like a cat purring, but the cat is you. There is definitely somebody who can do a significantly better job at explaining how to flutter tongue on the flute, so please, without further ado, allow everyone's favorite YouTube channel, Flute Colors, to take it away.
This technique uses a different kind of articulation. Most of the time we use the D or the T to articulate. Now we use the R. There are two types. You can use the tip of the tongue and you can use the R in the back of your mouth. It sounds like this. You can use this technique on every note.
Wow, truly so insightful. Now that that's out of the way, let's start a bit of history, shall we? It's no secret that one of the earliest uses of flutter-tonguing was by Tchaikovsky in his ballet, The Nutcracker, as he used the articulation with the flutes for the opening of the final act. With Alexander Khimchenko, the flautist who first introduced him to the technique, the duo named the effect frullato. And not too long after, flutter fever took over the classical composition world. The technique became quite common in the 20th century, thanks to the music of Schoenberg, Shostakovich, Benjamin Britten, and Gustav Mahler. In the Flute Book, Nancy Toff found that it wasn't until after World War I that the most composers and musicians began to experiment and test the limitations of the flute. She found that it was this time when we saw the highest rise in popularity of the flutter-tonguing technique. At first, the flute sound was altered within the pitch limits by means of varied articulation, especially flutter-tonguing. Here's an excerpt from a contemporary piece from 1971 called Essay by Louis Applebaum. As time went on, the flutter-tonguing technique began to be used more popularly in jazz music as well. Here's an excerpt from Spain by Chick Corea from the year 1973. Despite the eventual popularization of the technique in jazz and contemporary music, I thought it interesting that Kazu Fukushima decided to use the articulation in his piece May from the year 1989, which many describe as a very classical sounding piece. Unfortunately, despite Fukushima's best efforts, jazz and contemporary music have unofficially claimed the Flutter-Tonguing technique for their own. Just take a listen to Ivory Desert by Caleb Hugo from the year 2011 and you'll see exactly what I mean. And there you have it, folks. The Flutter-Tonguing technique, Frullato, Flutter-Tonguing, or whatever your heart desires, has helped composers over the past few centuries create some of the greatest pieces we've ever known. And one can't help but to wonder, where will we see this technique?